So E3 2022 may have been canceled, but the summertime gaming presentations are absolutely now in full effect at this point this year. And in today's video, I want to discuss when we can finally expect Nintendo to officially confirm and announce a June time Nintendo Direct presentation, discuss the most likely week that this event will hit, and a large discussion around what games we can most likely expect to see revealed to us at the next Nintendo Direct presentation. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we just got one massive topic to discuss today, and it is when can we expect Nintendo to finally confirm the Nintendo Direct presentation in June that historically they have always held. Now, have there been disruptions? Yes, there have. Of course, you have a pretty predictable timeline of when Nintendo has put on these presentations. Then 2020 hit, and essentially the entire gaming industry was taken back by the real world situation, of course, that's been going on. But outside of that particular year, historically, we've always seen Nintendo align themselves with E3 and host a mainline Direct. Even in the year of 2020, we still saw them put on a mini partner showcase in July, just a month later than they would typically do. Now, some may be concerned that due to E3's cancellation, that Nintendo would for some reason decide to skip up on their summer Direct presentation, as they are not technically committed to being a part of E3, as clearly it's not happening. However, the Nintendo Directs were created for Nintendo to be able to communicate with their fans in this exact scenario legitimately, so that way they didn't have to rely on any other expo or showcase or organizer to be able to get a stage in front of their fans and directly communicate to the fans, hence the name Nintendo Direct. So I think it is business as usual for Nintendo. E3's cancellation in no way, shape, or form affects their plans for this year. Now, in terms of when we can expect this Direct to take place, clearly the first week of June started in the middle of the week on a Wednesday on June 1st. We then thought maybe a likely week could be the second week, being the 7th through the 9th, because of course, history again, Nintendo always airs their Directs Tuesday through Thursday, so you are not going to see them on a Friday or a Monday. And the third week of June is fastly approaching us, with the dates of the 14th through the 16th being absolutely the most likely, in my opinion, for this Direct to drop. Could it fall to the following week and be featured on the 21st through the 23rd? Absolutely, yes, it could. But if I'm a betting man, the most likely week by far and away is the 14th through the 16th, which means we should not have to wait long for some kind of official announcement. Now, typically when Nintendo announces these things, they're about a day or at the most 2 days before when the event is actually scheduled to take place, meaning that we should be paying extra close attention to their Twitter feed on Monday the 13th, Tuesday the 14th, and the latest possible, if it's going to happen in that week, Wednesday the 15th. So that is where my mindset falls with all of this. Nintendo is known for last minute communication and surprises, and nothing's different this year. We are waiting to find out what they have planned, and will they finally announce that June time Direct that I definitely think is coming. Now, next, I want to talk about what games we can expect to be featured at this presentation, but first we have to quickly talk about today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online classes and members across 150 countries who come together to find inspiration and take the next step in their creative journey. Learning a specific skill can be very challenging, especially if you're new to it. However, Skillshare makes it super easy with many classes that are designed to get you engaged right away. I'm always trying to step up my YouTube game and get more familiar with different video editing techniques, and following these different courses have made my editing experience far more streamlined, fast, and efficient. There are even classes from very popular creators who have an established reputation in the industry. I've personally really been enjoying the YouTube Success series with MKBHD, who I've been following and watching for years. Also, the Discussions tab is a great feature on Skillshare, allowing you to talk back and forth with other users and even ask questions. The first 1,000 people to use the link below in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Take advantage of the free trial and start learning a new skill today. Huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Now on to a very exciting portion of the conversation, when we get to discuss what games can we indeed expect Nintendo to focus on at this Direct presentation. Well, of course, there's the safe bets, the projects we already know about that we'll probably get some brief updates on, such as Splatoon 3, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, both of those being right around the corner at this point. I'm sure that there will be plenty of focus on both of those titles. Then you also have games still slated for 2022 that seem like it's time for another round of updates on, such as Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope and also Bayonetta 3. I am expecting all of those to be safe bets that will be featured at some point in time during this June presentation. However, some of the more exciting mystery titles that we don't know if they will be there or if they won't be there starting out with one of my most hyped titles that I cannot wait to get more information for, but I also don't think that this is the event that we get the blowout presentation. We are talking about Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Previously, I would have told you guys that, of course, if it is launching in 2022 like we thought it was for a period of time, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is a shoo-in for the summertime direct, and Nintendo will absolutely do their media blowout, title reveal, exact launch date, and even detailed treehouse style gameplay of this game to follow up the direct presentation. However, with that recent announcement that Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is indeed a spring 2023 game, I think it is now less likely that that is the title that we see heavy focus on at this event. Will we maybe get a new trailer? Yes, that's totally possible, but are they really going to give us another trailer and not the title reveal at the same time? I mean, they could do it, but it's one of those things that now I'm kind of thinking the September Nintendo Direct might be the blowout event for that game, because it's just clearly further off now in the timeline of when we can expect it to launch, and Nintendo is very cautious about revealing too much of that game. There's clearly a lot going on with the lore and the snippets we've seen so far. They don't want to tell us the title, not because it's not ready, but because they don't want it to spoil any of the surprise story elements that are apparently referenced in the title. And boy, I'm sure it'll be a fun day to see fans speculate once we do finally get the title of how that really does tie into what's going on in this mainline installment for Zelda. However, what I do think is likely is maybe we get that thank you for your understanding and your patience around the Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 continued development. Clearly we needed more time, and as a thank you to Zelda fans, we are going to launch Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, hopefully in a combo pack. Maybe they announce one or the other, but I could totally see Aonuma taking the stage, thanking the fans, and then following it up with the 2022 Zelda game for the Nintendo Switch, as we know that Nintendo likes to stick to one new Zelda game per calendar year launching on the Switch. And all of the leaks and rumors and everybody that knows about these projects has suggested that the scenario that Nintendo would launch these in is if they needed more time for Zelda Breath of the Wild 2's development, and that of course did happen. So I'm not setting my expectations fully that these games will be there, but it would absolutely put the event over the top for me personally if we do finally get that curtain pulled back and we get a look at both Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, and they're headed to the Switch with really just redone controls. Is all Nintendo has to do to resell us these games at full price. I mean, people are going to pay them. It's absolutely going to sell well, and it is going to be the perfect stopgap for Zelda fans while we wait for Breath of the Wild 2's release. There's a slight chance that maybe it's the Oracle game remakes, or maybe some different Zelda remake that Grezzo has worked on, or just some brand new 2D style Zelda experiences. We used to get those alongside of mainline Zelda games because you had the 3DS line of consoles and the DS line of consoles and the Game Boy line of consoles in addition to the Nintendo home console. So it's totally possible that it's any of those projects, but I'm personally hanging my hat on the number one most hype announcement, of course, for me will absolutely be Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD. Now, the next game that I think it's absolutely time to have the curtain revealed from, and another one that's been in the rumor mill talk and circulation for so long, is some kind of Metroid Prime 1 remake and or Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, as it's unclear what this project really is, but people who know about it, being Emily Rogers and Nate the Hate, who have both gone back and forth online about it, and Emily Rogers really going out of her way to explain exactly the information that she knew of the project, which was that originally Retro was assigned to remake Metroid Prime Trilogy HD for the Nintendo Switch, while the other studio that was originally developing Metroid Prime 4 was leading that project. However, we all know how that went. 2 years into development of Metroid Prime 4, Nintendo did not sign off on the quality checks on that game and decided to hand the project entirely to Retro, forcing somewhat of a shuffle with what they were working on up to that point in time, which would have been Metroid Prime Trilogy HD for the Switch. And according to Emily Rogers, the only confirmed project that she knows is floating around and ready to go is a Metroid Prime 1 remake. She is unclear on the details on whether or not Prime 2 and 3 will be included in this pack, or if it is just a standalone Metroid Prime 1 remake by itself. I will take Metroid Prime whatever, as long as we get a section focused on this direct for Metroid Prime presentation, being an acknowledgement and hopefully some gameplay trailer of Metroid Prime 4 and what's going on with that game's development. And then let's follow it up with, of course, Metroid Prime 4 is not ready to go for you fans, but we do have this in its place, and I hope it's a Prime Trilogy HD. That would absolutely be my number one pick. But even if it is just a more from the ground up and refined Metroid Prime 1 experience, I am personally ready to dive headfirst back into that game and re-experience that incredible world with Samus's exploration in 3D. The other series that's continuing to be talked about online and supposedly has a game in development is the Donkey Kong franchise. I would say that the leaks online are less reliable around this one, but it is being claimed that the same studio that develops the Mario Odyssey games will be working on some kind of new Donkey Kong project, and it should be some kind of 2.5D or 2D experience. However, it would not stick to the Donkey Kong Country title and would rather be something new and kind of separate and distinct from that style of game. So while 2D and 2.5D have been the rumor, whether or not it's that or some kind of brand new from the ground up 3D Donkey Kong experience, I'm just ready for Donkey Kong to come back, period. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, while being a great side-scrolling platformer, was originally released on the Wii U back in February of 2014. So we are talking about over 8 years since Nintendo has shown some love to a brand new installment of Donkey Kong. Of course, they ported that same game to the Switch later on, but that's still I've played that game on the Wii U. I was one of the people who did buy a Wii U and experienced a lot of the titles on there. I am ready for a new Donkey Kong experience, and I hope that it happens sooner rather than later. Now, clearly there's plenty of other things that we could see at this event. Some very likely things, of course, your typical Nintendo Switch Online segment where they update the roadmap for the N64 games. As we know that in June, we should be expecting Pokemon Snap, but past that, the roadmap really runs out and we should be expecting some kind of new announcement around that. In addition, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course DLC Pass Wave 2, let's go. I think it's time to reveal that as well. And I think each one of those waves actually drop at a Nintendo Direct, leading us all the way through the end of 2023 with the rest of that scheduled roadmap. So there's a lot of hype and expectations leading up to this June Direct. At this point in the video, guys, I want to hear from you personally. What are your most hyped titles that you want to see revealed from this presentation? Do you think that there's anything out of left field that none of us are expecting that will actually be revealed here? Do you think that we will get the big Legend of Zelda game announcement for 2022? Or do you think that it's something that, unfortunately, us Zelda fans just have to wait until spring of 2023 and we're actually skipping a full year for Zelda games on the Nintendo Switch? And definitely share with me your final prediction on when Nintendo will indeed officially announce this Direct presentation. Do you think it's next week? Do you think it's later on? Or do you think we're not getting one in June at all? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today in the video, I do look forward to hearing from you guys before you leave, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Thanks once again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Guys, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.